Hi student, I'm Gofere. Today we will continue chapter 3 of a research course. Last time we discussed two chapters, the basic concept of research, chapter 1. And in chapter 2 we discussed the research problem and the research problem identification. Today we will continue with chapter 3, page 19 to page 42. In this chapter, we try to discuss research design and research sampling and types of sampling and so on. Research design refers to decision regarding what, where, when, how much, by what means concerning an inquiry or a research study. It is an arrangement of conditions for collecting and analyzing of data in a manner that aims to combine relevance to research purpose without economy in the procedure. In fact, research design is the conceptual structure within which research is conducted. It is constitute the blueprint for research collection, measurement, and analysis of data. Such design includes outline of what the researcher will do, from writing the hypothesis and its operational implication to the final analysis of data. Overall, research design in the following parts. Let us see a research design. The first one is sampling design, which deals with the method of selecting items to be observed for given study. The second one is the observational design, which related to the condition under which observation is made. The second one is this. The third one is statistical design. Statistical design, which concern with the question of how many items are to be observed and how the information and the data gathered to be analyzed. The fourth one is operational design. Operational design, which deals with the techniques by which the procedure specified in the sampling, statistical and observational design can be carried out. These are the overall research design parties. Let us see the significance or important feature of research design. Why we are looking for research design. What is it is important? Is the research design helps for the researcher when conducting the research? Is it helpful or simply a format? Let us see. Research design, one of its features is it specifies the resource and the types of information relevant to the research problem. That is one of the features. The other feature of research design is a strategy specifying which approach will be used for gathering and analyzing the data. Which strategy helps for analyzing the data? Which strategy helps the researcher to approach the data, the gathered data, and which approach helps a researcher to analyze the data? The third feature of research design, it also included the time and the cost budget, since most studies are done under these two, which means time and budget. Time and the budget. When we summarize the three features of research, the first one is a clear statement of research problem. Procedure and the techniques used for gathering information. The population to be studied. Method to be used in processing and analyzing data. Research design is the map. A research design is a map for research. A good researcher is a person who develops a good design. A researcher without developing a research design cannot write a good research. Maybe cannot conclude with findings. A researcher has to develop research design. Let us see the criteria for a good research design. A criteria for a good research design. A good research is often characterized by adjectives like flexible, appropriate, efficient, economical, and so on. One single design cannot serve the purpose of all types of research problems. One single design cannot serve the purpose of all types of research problems. A research design appropriate for a particular research problem usually involves the consideration of the following five. A good research design considers the following issues: the meaning of obtained research and the meaning of obtained information. Without full information and clear meaning, research design is a problem. The other one is the availability and the skill of the researcher and his staff. The other consideration when research design is conducted and developed, one of the criteria is the objective of the problem be studied and the nature of the problem to be studied and the availability of time and the money for the research work. Different types of research design. Different research design can be conveniently described if we categorize them as follows. We can categorize research design as explanatory research study, description and the diagnostic research study, and hypothesis testing research study. In addition to this, we have to have a measuring concept. We have to know about measurement when we develop research design. When we develop research design, we have to know about measurement. Measurement means assignment of numerals to the characteristics of objectives, person, state, or event according to the rule. What is measured is not the object or the person or state or event itself, but some characteristics. When objectives are counted, for example, we do not measure the object itself, but its character. We never measure people, only their age, height, weight, and some other characters as measured. Measurement, according to Stephen, Measurement is matching of aspect of one domain to another aspect. This matching, often called mapping, operation of establishment of correspondence between the property of one area and the property in another set. Mapping from one set, I will repeat, according to Stephen, measurement is the matching of aspect of one domain to aspect of another. This matching, often called mapping, that means establishing of correspondence between property of one area and property in the other set. Mapping from one set into the numbers of the other is done according to some rules of correspondence. There are 4 levels of measurement. There are 4 levels of measurement. The first one is nominal, the second one is ordinal, the third one is interval, the fourth one is ratio. Let us see one by one in short. Nominal. When we say nominal scale is simply a system of assigning number, symbols to event in order to label them. Ordinal. In ordinal management, numerals, letters, or other symbols are used to rank the object, just ranking the object. The third one is interval scale. Interval measurement represents numerals used to rank objects such that numerically equal distance on the scale represent equal distance in the property being measured. The fourth one is ratio. This measurement, beside processing the property of interval measurement, process one additional property via other. It has a true natural and absolute 0 point, one for which there is universal agreement as to its location. Components of measurement. When a researcher conducts a research and measure events, object, person, and other related, has to follow and understand the characteristics as mentioned. One of the components of measurement, additional stable characteristics of the object or the event. The second component is short-term characteristics of the object, situational characteristics of the object. 4. Characteristics of measurement process. 5th, characteristics of measuring an instrument. Number 6, characteristics of response process. Number 7, characteristics of the analysis. All these are the components of measurement scale during research conducting. There are also techniques of measurement tools. There are means of developing measurement tools. There are 4 levels and there are additional tools for that. The techniques developing measurement tools involves 4 stages. 4 stages. The first one is concept development. Researcher should arrive at understanding of major concept pertaining to his study or her study. The second one is specification of concept dimension. This means this requires a researcher to specify dimension of the concept that he developed in the first stage. Selection of indicators. Researchers must develop some indicators for measuring each concept or element. Indicators are specific questions, scales, and other devices by which respondents' knowledge, opinion, or expectation are measured. When we say selection of indicators, we have to develop some means that we measure the knowledge, the opinion, expectation of the respondent. The other one is formation of index, means that combining of various indicators into an indicator. That means information of an index. These are techniques of developing measurement. Let us see the scale. In research, we quite often face measurement problem, especially when the concept to be measured are complex and abstract, and we do not process the standardized measurement tools. We are looking for scaling. Scaling describes the procedure of assigning a number to various degrees of opinion, attitude, and other concepts. This can be done in two ways. The first one is making a judgment about some characters of an individual. The other one is constructing questionnaires in which way that score individual respondent. In general, scaling has been defined as a procedure for assigning of numbers to a property of object in order to impart some of the characteristics of numbers to the property in a question. There are classification of scaling. Scaling classified based on subject orientation, response form, degree of subjectivity, scale properties, number of dimensions, scale construction techniques. For example, exceptionally good, above average, average, below average, or strongly agree, agree, undecided, disagree, and strongly disagree. All these are making rank. Let us see. When we are focusing on the classification, the first one is just making a judgment, how to judge. The first one is subject orientation. Meaning, under this, a scale may be designed to measure characteristics of respondents who complete to judge the stimulus object which is presented to respondent. The other one is response form. When we say response form, categorical scale, known as rating the scale. When we say response form, just rating the scale. Degree of subjectivity. When we say degree of subjectivity, we are talking about the basis, the scale that data may be, how we measure the subjective personal performance, subjective personal preference, or simply make no preference or judgment. The fourth one is scale property. When we say scale property, this is considered that we may classify the scales nominally, originally, intervally, and ratio scale. In respect to this basis, the scale can be classified as one-dimensional and multi-dimensional scale. When we are talking about just scaling, especially making a judgment, there are two major classification of scale property. In respecting to the basis of classification, one-dimensional and the multi-dimensional scales. Importance of scaling techniques. Broadly, there are two types of scales. That means rating scales and attitude scale. Rating scale and attitude scale. Rating scale involves qualitative description of limited number of aspects of things. This scale can be either discrete or continuous. Discrete or continuous. When we say discrete scale, these are used for rating originally data about an object. This example, the characteristics of job knowledge, and it can be divided into 4 or 5. Discrete scale divided into 5. Exceptionally good, average, above average, average, below average, and the poor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first one is exceptional, second, above average, third, average, fourth, below average, fifth, poor. These are the way discrete scaling is measured. Continuous or graphic scale. Graphic or continuous scale. These scales are used for rating interval data about an object under which the various points are usually put along the line to form a continuum, and the rater indicates his rating by simply making a mark at the appropriate point on a line. Just a scaling point with brief description maybe indicate along the line. Their function being is to assist the rater in performing his job. Exceptionally good, above average, these are continuous in the graphic. It is the scale is pointed on the graph. The scale is pointed on the line, and the scale is described simply by marking. Let us see the attitude scale. The first one is what? Rating scale. Rating scale is about discrete scale and continuous scale. What about the attitude scale? Attitude scale are carefully constructed set of rating scale designed to measure one or more aspects of an individual or group's attitude toward some object. The individual responses to the various scales may be aggregated or summed to provide a single attitude for the individual. There are four important types of this scale, which is attitude scale. The first one is Likert scale, summated scale. The other one is Thorstone equal appearing interval scale. The other one is Gottman's cumulative scale. The third one is Osgood semantic differential scale. There are 4 scales of attitude: Likert, Thorstone, Gottman's, and Osgood semantic. Let us see. Likert scale are developed by utilizing the item analysis approaches, wherein a particular item is evaluated on the basis of how well it discriminated between those persons who totally score in high and those who score in low. Likert scale consists of a number of statements which expresses either favorable or unfavorable attitude toward the given object, to which the respondent is asked to react. Respondent indicates his or her agreement or disagreement with the statement. Example: strongly agree, undecided, disagree, strongly disagree. This is just rating and shows discrimination. Thornstone's equal appearing interval scale. The Likert scale is about 5. This scale consists 15 to 20 statements. Likert mostly 10 to 20, sometimes 10 to 20. Most of the time it is 10, 5, and so on, 20, and 25. Sometimes 25, some books says. But Thornstone's equal appearing interval scale consists 15 to 20 statements which form continuum attitude towards a subject, ranging from the most favorable to the least favorable. That one is favorable, unfavorable in Likert. Here, from the highest to the lowest, like Likert. Lewis Gottman's scale, cumulative scale. This consists of statement to which a respondent express his or her agreement or disagreement. This is, in other words, means that statements are related to one another. According to Gottman cumulative scale, the statements are agreed each other or related each other. The fourth one is semantic differential scale. This is also developed by Charles Osgood in 1957. This scale is an attempt to measure the psychological meaning of an object. Look, the first one is not the psychological, but the fourth one is about the psychological meaning of an object to an individual. How individuals understand the object, how the individuals understanding the issue, how individuals understanding what is going on in the process of research. This scale is based on perception that an object can have different dimension of it, cognitive meaning, which can be located in multidimensionality property space. What can be called semantic space in the context of semantic differential scale. Let us see the sample design. Still, what we are talking in relation to measurement is to clarify sample design. A sample design is defined as plan for obtaining a sample from the population. It refers to the technique or the procedure that the researcher would adopt in selecting item for the sample. Sample design may as well lay down the number of items to include in the sample. That means maybe the size. Why sample used? Why we are looking for sample design? Because of its economy, because of its speed, because of its scope, because of accuracy, because of practicability. Because of practicability. The other one is sampling process. There are 7 sequential steps of sampling process. The first one is population. Define the population. Define the population. The other one is just specify the frame. The third one is specify sampling unit and specify sampling method. Number 5, determine sampling size. Number 6, specify sampling plan. Set the sampling. Number 7, select the sampling. Let us see one by one. When we say defining sampling population, that means the target group. The target group. When we say specific sampling frame, that is choose the frame. Choosing the frame. Maybe map, maybe telephone, maybe others. You have to have a physical material representing the element. What represents the element? When we say the unit, the basic unit containing the element. What are the population? Specific sampling method. In these steps, the method by which sampling unit are selected. How can you select the unit? The way you select, the way you are using. The other one is sampling size. This is the population. And specify sampling plan. What is your plan, your procedure, operational procedure? And the other one is select the sample. You have to select the sample for your purpose. Types of sampling. There are 2 major types of sampling. A researcher, the one conduct a research, has to understand type of sampling. The type of sampling. The first one is probability sampling and non-probability sampling. With probability sampling, a researcher can specify the probability of an element or participant being included in the sample. With the non-probability sampling, there is no way of estimating the probability of an element being included in the sample. Types of non-probability. When we are talking non-probability sampling, we mean that simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified random sampling, multi-stage sample random. Number 5, cluster sample or area sample. Sequential sampling or sampling in settlements. The other one is interpreting sampling. Let us see one by one. Simple random sampling means that every cohort of population has an equal probability of inclusion in the sampling. Disadvantage associated with simple random includes there are disadvantages and advantages. The other one is systematic. Systematic sampling is where everyone or everything or every case are a random started is selected. Every randomly, maybe systematically, some of them are selected. Stratified is where the population is divided into strata or subgroup. Just dividing. Stratified sampling is often used where there is a great deal of variation within a population. Its purpose is to ensure that every stratum is adequately represented. The fourth one is cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is where the whole population divided into cluster. The whole population is divided into cluster or groups. Cluster sampling is advantageous for those researchers whose subjects are fragmented over large geographical area. When the sampling or the subject or the target groups are fragmented. This stage 2 cluster sampling can be summarized as follows. 1. Geographical. The first one is choose cluster grouping for sampling frame, such as type of company or geographical region. Number each of the classical select using random sampling. The fifth one is multi-stage sampling. Multi-stage, as it shows, is the process of moving from a broad to a narrow sample using a step-by-step process. Obviously, this is both expensive and time-consuming. Multi-stage sampling, it is so expensive and time-consuming. A cheaper alternative would be to use multi-stage sampling. Then the main purpose of multi-sampling stage is to select samples which are concentrated in a few geographical regions. Once again, this saves time and money. The other one is probability sampling. Probability sampling is also purposive sampling, quota sampling, and convenience sampling. Then, when we are looking through all this, research sampling is a map. It is a road map and a blueprint for research and conducting research. Thank you very much. We will continue.